Now, after that, we have covered the resource management, including acquiring the resources, developing the team, managing the team. Now it's the time to move to the next key process in the execution phase, which is managing the communication. So, welcome to this session on implementing the communication plan, which is known as the CMP. Effective communication is a critical success factor in project execution. It ensures that the stakeholder receives timely, relevant, and accurate information, helping to align the expectation and facilitate decision making. This session will discuss the importance of having an effective project communication. We'll see how to manage the stakeholder expectations, and we'll also see the tools and techniques that is used in the project execution, especially when it comes to communication. We'll explore also how to ensure effective project communication and utilize the communication tools and techniques effectively. Key ITTOs involved when managing the communication. The inputs, as well known as the project management plan, the project documents, the EFFs, the OPAs, and the tools and techniques you have here, communication technology and the communication methods, the communication skills, the PMIS, and the project reporting as part of your communication tools. You have the meetings and interpersonal team skills, and the output here would be the project communication, the PMP updates, the project document updates if needed, and OPA's update as well. First, let's understand the importance of effective communication. Project managers spend most of their time communicating with the stakeholders, teams, and leadership. A lack of effective communication can result in unclear goals and create conflicts and delaying projects and increasing risks. And a key fact here that 90% of the project manager's time is spent in communicating, and that is by PMI. So that is a very, very, very important skill that you have to have, since you most of your time, more than 90% of your time, you spend it in communicating between the team, between the stakeholder, between the leadership of the organization. And poor communication leads to misalignment and conflicts and project failures. So ensure to have a clear, structured communication way to enhance the team collaboration and decision making. Let's take an example here. In IT software development project, failure to probably communicate the features requirements to developers, it can result in incorrect implementation, leading to costly rework. How to manage the stakeholder expectation through communication? Managing stakeholder expectation starts with identifying who needs what information, when, and how. The communication management plan must ensure that the key stakeholder receives a timely updates through their preferred channels. So ensure that you have, let's say, a well understanding of the stakeholder needs and communication preferences. Sure to have a regular updates to prevent any surprises and misalignment with your team. A very important skill here, which is active listening and feedback loop to ensure the clarity. For instance, in a construction project, clients prefer, for example, weekly progress report, while on-site workers need a daily briefings. A mismatch in communication frequency can cause a confusion and delays. So, in order to manage the stakeholder expectation when it comes to communication, ensure that you have agreement stakeholders about the required, let's say, information with its frequency to be shared, to ensure that you have, let's say, an effective communication techniques with the stakeholders, and ensure all of these stakeholders are aware about the project progress. Now let's see the components of communication management plan. So if you recall, when we have developed our communication management plan during the stakeholder engagement, planning the stakeholder engagement during the planning phase, we say that the your plan should have the communication requirements, including who needs the information, what type of information, when to send it, as the frequency, and how often the information is shared. Also, the methods and channels as part of the components of the communication management plan includes the preferred, let's say, communication methods, whether it's an email, meeting, let's say, a dashboard, or reports. You may also have an escalation process for handling an urgent communication that is related to the project. So a well-defined communication management plan includes who communicates with whom, what information is shared, and how this information is shared. For example, let's say an event planning, and the event manager sends the status update weekly to sponsors, but provide a daily task list to the ongoing coordinators. And without this structured plan, the stakeholders may feel, let's say, uninformed or overwhelmed. How to choose the right communication tool and technique? Selecting the right communication tool is crucial. And it depends on the stakeholder preferences, it depends on the requirements of the communication, depends on the type of person that you are communicating with, whether, let's say, a technical or non technical teams. So, all of these aspects you need to consider when deciding which, let's say, right communication tool to choose. We have four main communication tools uh, and or techniques, including the push communication. The push communication includes like emails or memo, and it's considered like as a one-way communication where you send, let's say, a list of information to stakeholders or to the team or um, who have agreed with you to share with the information with. You have also the pull communication, and pull communication is like a document repositories where you update, let's say, a dashboard with the status of the progress of the project, and then you enable the stakeholders to access that dashboard whenever they want, whatever they want, and that is considered as a self-service. You have also the interactive communication like the meetings, workshop, which is considered as two-way communication. Collaboration tools such as Slack or Microsoft Teams, Trello or Jira or Microsoft Project, all of these are considered as a collaboration tools um, that deals with the status update, that deals with all of the, you may use it for the project communication as well. So it depends on the stakeholder preferences and depends on the level of detail that the stakeholder is requiring. Need to adapt all of these, let's say, methodologies or tools to meet the stakeholder requirements or communication requirements. And let's take an example here. In agile software development, Teams uses daily stand-up meeting, which is considered as interactive communication to align on tasks, while client may access Jira dashboard to pull the communication to track the progress. Ensure the clarity when communicating. So, communication must be clear and concise to ensure messages are understood as intended. Use a clear and simple language to avoid any misunderstanding, and especially with the non technical stakeholder or the executive levels. You may also use this structure messaging logically by saying who is receiving the communication, what should I communicate with them, when should I send it, where to send it, or how to send it to, let's say, to which channel, and why should I send this type of information to that stakeholder. You may also request feedback mechanism to confirm the understanding of your report or of your communication by saying that if let's say if the provided information isn't clear enough, please, for example, approach me or reach me into my email or my phone number to emphasize on message itself. Now let's see monitoring and improvement effectiveness. And this is also part of the, let's say, monitoring phase, but also it's very important to understand how it integrate with the execution phase. So regularly monitoring communication effectiveness ensures the continuous improvement. You may use surveys and feedback to assess the communication effectiveness. Also, regular communication audits to identify any gaps or misunderstanding between you, the team, or the stakeholders. I think as a leader to adapt and use strategies based on the stakeholder needs, based on the requirements, based on the feedback. So you keep continually with continuous improvement to meet, let's say, the project requirements, the communication requirements. And for example, here, let's say in a healthcare project, hospital use staff feedback surveys to determine if a medical staff receives timely patient care updates, leading to process enhancements. Let's see now some of these barriers or challenges when handling the communication. Communication barriers can cause misunderstanding and impact on project execution. You may consider the language and culture differences in the global project. Also, the level of detail and information overload that cause, let's say, misunderstanding again between you, the stakeholders, or the team. You also need to consider the technical jargon confusion among the non-experts, especially with the non-technical stakeholders. Try to simplify these concepts to ensure that your communication is tailored based on the audience, to ensure that they have the right message, let's say the clear message, so to avoid any confusion or misunderstanding later. And for example, here, let's say in international projects, the time zone differences and language barriers may delay the responses. So, using project tools like Asana or Microsoft Teams helps to ensure an effective, let's say, communication. When it comes to the crisis of communication and project, in times of crisis or in the time of issues or let's say crisis again, communication must be quick, transparent, and well structured. So ensure that you have, let's say, a communication crisis plan, where in case if there's something considered as a crisis when dealing with a project, you need to have, let's say, a plan that um identify the escalation, let's say, the actions that has to be taken in case if there is any crisis goes. Ensure the transparency in communication during the crisis. The more transparent you are, the more, let's say, issue identification can happen, and based on that, the solution can be implemented more, let's say, effective way. Again, we emphasize the importance of having, um, uh, let's say, quick response and escalation handling metrics using your crisis communication plan, just to ensure that the response is taking a more quicker way, and the resolution is let's say, reducing the impact on the project that might face a crisis. Let's say here an example: during the software system outages, the IT teams uses a predefined communication templates to inform the stakeholder instantly about, let's say, the issue. Also, they will share with them the resolution steps and estimated recovery time, just to ensure that the stakeholders are aware about the issue and they have a full transparency what is going to happen, and how long will it take to be fixed. To summarize our session on um, implementing the communication management plan as part of the execution phase, we say that effective project communication is essential for aligning the stakeholders and ensuring the smooth execution. By implementing a structured communication management plan, using the right tools, and continuously improving communication strategies, the project teams can enhance the collaboration and efficiency,